Madame Ugo was known far and wide as a wealthy and generous woman. Her large home was a place where many young pregnant women and teenage girls sought refuge. The villagers believed she was a blessing, always willing to help those in need. But my dear viewers, not everyone who seems to be kind and nice are truly genuine. "Come to my house, my dear," Madame Ugo would say with a gentle smile to the young girls she encountered. "You will have everything you need. And when your baby is born, I will make sure you are well taken care of." But behind her kind exterior, Madame Ugo harbored a dark secret. A secret that will soon be revealed. Keep watching this story. She didn't only help pregnant women. She also targeted teenage girls from poor families. She would approach them with promises of a better life, playing on their dreams of escaping poverty. One day, she met a young girl of 16 years called Chidinma, who had dropped out of school because her parents couldn't afford the fees. She said to her, "Why struggle so much, my dear? If you come to me and do exactly as I say, you will never have to worry about money ever again. I will give you the best life, the life that your parents couldn't afford, and you will go to the best schools." Chidinma hesitated, but Madame Ugo's words were tempting. Of course, my dear viewers, who wouldn't want all of those luxury things? She will say to her, "All you need to do is to get pregnant. Just a very simple thing. Just get pregnant. I will provide everything you need. And when your baby is born, you will receive a large sum of money. You can start a new life." Chidinma asked Madame Ugo, "What will then happen to the baby?" She would then say, "Don't worry, Chidinma. You don't have to bother about that. All you have to do is to get pregnant." Blinded by the promises of wealth, Chidinma agreed, not realizing the nightmare that awaited her. Madame Ugo had men living in her house, whose sole purpose was to impregnate the teenage girls she brought in. She kept these men hidden from the public eye, ensuring that no one would suspect her true intentions. Chidinma was introduced to one of these men, who was charming and persuasive. Under Madame Ugo's watchful eye, the man convinced Chidinma that getting pregnant was the right choice, promising her a future filled with riches. Chidinma, desperate for a better life, fell into the trap. Soon, she found herself pregnant, just as Madame Ugo had planned. Before I continue the story, in case you're watching my video and you haven't subscribed, please, this is me begging you, please be a part of my growth. I will really appreciate that. Click on that subscribe button. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate your love and support. I do not take it for granted. So let's go back to the video. Once the girls were pregnant, Madame Ugo would present them with a contract. "This is just a formality," she would say. "You must agree never to tell anyone about our arrangements. In return, I promise you a huge sum of money once your baby is born." Some of the girls were hesitant, but Madame Ugo knew how to manipulate them. She would remind them of their dear situations, the poverty they were trying to escape. "Do you want to go back to that life?" she would say. "Imagine all the huge sum of money I'm going to give to you, and you are trying to be hesitant? Sign this agreement and your future will be secured. But if you refuse, you will lose everything, including your life." With no other options, the girls would sign the contract, sealing their fate, waiting to give birth to the baby, drop the baby with Madame Ugo, collect their huge sum of money, and leave. Sometimes, the girls that are trying to be stubborn, trying to claim their baby, saying they will not leave that house without their baby, end up losing their life. So, it is just better They give birth to the baby, collect the money, and go, and never to ask about that baby again. All this kept on happening for years in Madame Ugo's house, but the villagers were not aware. In their eyes, she was a kind-hearted and generous woman, not knowing that she was a devil in disguise. Meanwhile, a young girl called Amara got pregnant. Her boyfriend stays in the city. So when her parents discovered that she was pregnant, they chased her out of the house. Her father disowned her, and she was also drawn into Madame Ugo's web. Madame Ugo found her wandering in the village, looking lost and scared. And she said to her, "My dear, you shouldn't be out here alone." Her voice was dripping with concern, as if indeed she was nice. "Come with me. I will take care of you." Adora, feeling vulnerable and alone, accepted Madame Ugo's offer, unaware of the horrors that awaited her. Adora's boyfriend stays in the city, and she has been looking for a means to reach out to him. Few weeks later, Adora's boyfriend came back to the village to check on Adora because he hadn't heard from her in several weeks. When he arrived, he was relieved to find Adora in Madame Ugo's house. Remember, everybody thinks Madame Ugo is a nice woman. So when he heard that Adora was there, he didn't suspect a thing. But when he got there, Adora seemed distant, almost as if she were afraid to speak freely. Kelechi's instinct told him that something was wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. He decided to stay in the village and keep a close eye on Madame Ugo's house, hoping to uncover a truth. An elderly woman in the village called Mama Chi noticed that while many pregnant women and teenage girls entered the house, none seemed to live with their babies. "Something is not right," Mama Chi muttered to herself. "Where are all the babies? And why don't these girls ever speak to anyone after they leave Madame Ugo's house?" She decided to speak to Kelechi, knowing that he was concerned about Adora. "Young man," Mama Chi said, pulling Kelechi aside, "I have seen many girls go into that house, but I've never seen any babies come out. You need to find out what is happening." Late one night, Kelechi sneaked into Madame Ugo's house. He carefully made his way to a room that was always locked, where he believed the truth was hidden. What he found shocked him to his core. The room was filled with baby clothes, bottles, and documents outlining the agreements Madame Ugo had made with the girls. There were also photographs of the men Madame Ugo used to impregnate the girls. Kelechi realized that Madame Ugo was running a baby-selling operation. She was luring vulnerable women and girls into her home, convincing them to get pregnant and then selling their babies for profits. Kelechi couldn't stay silent. He confronted Madame Ugo the next morning. "I know what you are doing," Kelechi shouted, his voice trembling with anger. "You've been selling babies. You've been tricking these girls and using them for your own gain." Madame Ugo's expression turned cold. "You have no proof," she sneered. "No one will believe you. I am respected and connected. So even if you do anything, no one will believe you." But Kelechi had been prepared. He had gathered evidence, and with Mama Chi's help, he had alerted the villagers. When they saw the documents and the baby clothes, the villagers were outraged. Madame Ugo was arrested and her house of horror was shut down. After Madame Ugo's arrest, Adora and the other girls were taken to a safe place where they could rebuild their lives. Adora, with Kelechi's support, gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Chidima and the other girls were also given the help they needed to start anew, free from Madame Ugo's manipulation. Those men Madame Ugo kept in the house to get the girls pregnant were also arrested. And that was how the story of Madame Ugo and her baby-making factory ended. Dear viewers, have you ever seen something like this or heard about something like this before? Let me know in the comment section. The moral of the story is that greed and manipulation can destroy lives. Madame Ugo's actions were driven by greed, and she preyed on the vulnerable, exploiting their desperation for her own gain. However, the courage of Kelechi and the wisdom of Mama Chi brought justice to those who has been wronged. This story teaches us the importance of speaking up against injustice and protecting the vulnerables from those who seek to exploit them. And lastly, my dear viewers, it's not everybody that seems to be nice are actually nice. Some of them are wolves in sheep clothing. So let us all be guided and careful. Thank you so much for watching my story. I really appreciate you. If you watched it to the very end and you can still hear me speaking, this is me saying thank you to you in particular. Yes, you that you are listening to me right now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. I do not take it for granted. God bless you. My name is Onyi of Onyi Stories and Folktales, and please, if you haven't subscribed, I'm still begging. Please click on that subscribe button, turn on the notifications so when I post more interesting stories, you will be the first to get them. Thank you. See you in my next video. Bye.